Hello, and welcome to episode 86 of Friends of the Show. I am Stephen W. Skinner, and this is my podcast where I speak with some of the most totally awesome people I've met online. This week's friend is a very funny, creative type. A writer, actor, director, producer, improv comedian. And all that, and he's from Kelowna, BC? Nice. I'm, of course, talking about Nathan Hare, and it was so great talking to him. We get into his comedy upbringing, how much I very much enjoyed his short film, Life is Seriously Wild, and it was so good that I was only a bit out of my mind this episode, so listen for that. So now, without further ado, Friends of the Show, episode 86 with Nathan Hare. Nice.
How's it going?
It's going great. Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's very exciting having you on. Thanks for being on the podcast. This is the podcast, Friends of the Show, where I talk to some of the funniest people on the internet. That's it. That's the tagline.
Nice.
It used to have more of like a structured intro, and you get like a little intro, and then we'd have to go through several phases where we talk about tweets and all this stuff. This is the 2.0 version, Nathan. It's way more loosey-goosey.
It's go with the flow. It's nice. I like it. I feel relaxed.
I'm glad. That's what I'm trying to get that, did we start get like 10 minutes in? Are we recording? Did we start? Get that? Get that whole thing? You ever get that?
All the time.
Well, we should mention who you are. We should say who you are. We should let the listeners know who you are. So, officially, the official byline is Nathan Hare is a comedian, writer, and actor from Vancouver, Canada. His work has been featured in Buzzfeed, the CBC, and reached the front page of Reddit. His popular internet videos have been viewed by millions. Amazing.
Nice. Straight from my website.
It's
recent writing of mine.
Yeah.
I just put that online.
It's
so
succinct.
And
it's succinct. Yeah. It flows. It really says all you need to say. Front page of Reddit, that's the front page of the internet if you didn't know already. So, I don't know. Where do you go from there, Nathan? You've already reached the pinnacle of the internet, so.
Well, anytime I've been on that website, I've never been properly credited, which I actually don't care about.
Classic Reddit, yeah.
I'm fine without the credit.
Who cropped your handle?
I don't know. I have to go. I've had it where people have posted my stuff. I've found it. I've been like, oh shit, this is me, but I'm cropped out. And then someone in the comments will be like, actually, this is me. And you stole it from me, and it's someone completely who's not me at all, some other person who also cropped it out, but they stole a already cropped image, and there's people fighting over it for credit.
Yeah, who stole it first? Yeah, no, like, I actually curated this myself. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's my watermark on the original crop.
Exactly.
It is pretty wild how that happens, how it's like people they're out here chasing clout, maybe not the greatest content creators themselves, but they got an eye for it, right? They know what's funny. They know how to pluck this and that from the timeline, and then they just post it on their own page. And I guess it's good. It's part of how the internet web 2 is built and how it runs. But is it that good?
Yeah. I don't know. It seems like it honestly seems like more effort to like be screenshotting stuff and posting it without credit than like writing tweets. But maybe I'm really being charitable to the people's creativity.
The curators, Nathan, they're curators of internet content. They bring it all from the vast reaches of the web. And they bring it to the masses. That's how it works. I mean, it is a way for content to spread around, but at what cost? At what cost, Nathan?
Well, yeah. Maybe not a particularly high cost. I don't know.
Yeah, probably not too bad. So you're over there on the West Coast. We are 3 hours apart on the clocks. And how's the clocks working out over there? We change them all okay? This is it's a weird day to schedule a podcast, and I apologize for that.
Oh, no worries at all. Now it's all automatic. Hey, your phone will just do it.
Yeah, the phone keeps you honest.
I did sleep in, and then I woke up at 11:30, and I don't typically sleep that late, so technically I only slept till 10:30, but
okay, weird. Weird how that works.
Weird how that works.
But yeah, it is good that your
clocks are all
phone.
fine.
It's good that your phone keeps you up to date, and you're like, this number doesn't match the number on the microwave. Better fix it. Where before you didn't know.
Well,
Yeah,
exactly.
it was Apple. Apple did that. Apple helped us all with that. Thank you, Apple. Yeah. So we're all on the same time page now. We're all on the same clock. Apparently, we're getting rid of it, your province and mine. But until those crazy USA states that we're aligned with change also, it's not happening.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's this
I don't really care one way or the other, to be honest.
political red tape. Yeah, you haven't suffered too many negative effects from the time change?
No.
Mainly just to sleep in an hour.
Yes, which honestly I should be out there protesting that, because that was annoying.
You should be like, it should be 10 o'clock right now.
I'm not that lazy.
Yeah, protesting that it makes you look extra lazy.
To no one, because it's not like anyone was witnessing me, and I could have easily just lied just then and said that I woke up bright and early.
Instead of 10:30,
I'm fully admitting it.
It was 8:30 actually on this day.
Yes.
Out there getting up early on the West Coast. So what's it like out there now? What's the vibe?
Ooh. Well.
Vibe check.
Vibe check. A vibe shift is coming. It's a okay vibe, I would say. It's, kind of springish weather, but it's kind of rainy, but drizzling. Classic Vancouver, nothing.
Classic Vancouver.
Not fully raining, but not really sunny either.
It's like a foggy mist.
Exactly.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting. I mean, like, the masks are all done. Mask mandate is lifted, so
that's wild.
I went into a busy coffee shop and I was wearing a mask out of habit, and I guess I don't really care about wearing a mask. I'll do it, but no one else was. I was like, oh damn,
you were the odd one out
Times
wearing
changed.
a mask.
I was the odd one out,
and there was no one yelling about no masks. Have you ever seen that? Have you seen public confrontations about masking out there?
No, I haven't. Have you?
I've seen a couple, yeah. A couple of
Really? Wow.
A couple of dudes in the town just like strutting into the LCBO without a mask, and the poor LCBO lady had to be like, "Sir, this is an LCBO."
I accidentally was one of those guys, because one time I walked into the gym just without a mask a few months ago. By accident, I had one in my pocket. I just was walking from my house to the gym without a mask, and then I was going to put it in when I got there. Forgot to. And the person, reacted so... I felt so bad for causing them this distress, because they were like, Sir?
Yeah.
Sir?
Yeah.
This is a mask-on establishment. And I was like, oh, no, sorry. I'll feel so bad. They're like, sir, put the mask on right now. It was... They were ready for a confrontation, which I don't blame them. I mean, I'm sure that stuff happens. I haven't witnessed it, though.
Yeah, but that is part of the vibe of the maskers and the non-maskers. But now I guess it's going to be a moot point. So yeah, soon enough there'll be no mandates for anyone to fight over. Just it's your own choice. If you'd like to wear a mask, please feel free to do so. And if you feel that is infringing upon your rights and liberties, then it is infringing no more. So everyone will be chilling out about the masks soon. I guess that's a benefit to it.
Sure.
And then if you forget your mask going to the gym, not a big deal now.
No one's going to think that you're going to attack them.
No one's heart rate is raising significantly when they see Nathan strolling in barefaced.
Big old smile on my face. Yeah.
Big old smile on your face. Love to see it. So let's get to the WTF part. Who are you? Where are you from? Who are your guys? So we've established a general location, Vancouver.
Yes. It's where I'm not technically from. I'm from Kelowna, which is a few hours away.
Oh, Kelowna.
I don't know. Have you ever heard of that?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
What little place?
It's a notable city of the British
cool.
Columbia. Yeah, we know it out here.
Yeah, I feel like it's pretty split whenever I talk to someone from the East Coast. Sometimes they know it, sometimes they don't. But yeah, I grew up there, and then I moved out here. Like I've been here like 9 years.
Oh, nice.
I moved up for university, and that's where I'm from. What were the other questions?
Who are you? Where are you from? And who are your guys? But it's just like so you went to university out there. What you go to? UBC?
Yes.
What a good guess. Beautiful
It's
campus.
one of the ones.
Beautiful campus out there.
Oh, indeed.
And what did you study?
I studied English literature major, creative writing minor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doing words.
A wordsmith.
Kind of a word.
Both.
Kind of a word guy.
I'm kind of a word guy. That's typically how I introduce myself to people.
You should add that to your byline, actually.
I should just make that my entire byline.
Scrap the front page of Reddit line.
I was maybe I should take that out there. I take that out anyways.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's a
like,
credit. It's a credit, and no one, and like they said, no one would know if you didn't say it. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. You gotta say it. You gotta stand up for yourself.
Exactly.
It's an achievement.
It's an achievement.
A lot of people would kill to crop someone's name off of some content and be featured on the front page of Reddit.
Exactly.
They would, yeah.
So I'm really proud of that.
So you're out there at UBC, nose deep in a book. I imagine you under a tree on campus, like on a beautiful sunny day, maybe surrounded by books, but with one book in particular that you got your nose deep in.
Mm-hmm.
And is that kind of what it's like?
That's exactly what it was like. Well, I had my nose in a book reading, and then I also had my nose in a scroll with a quill, and I was writing. That was the writing part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
A little vial of ink and a frilly feather.
Yes, and I was wearing a powdered wig. And tights, stockings, the like.
You went totally Shakespearean.
I did.
You had a bit of a face.
I rarely attended classes. I just was kind of doing my own thing.
You just kind of. You guys see the Bard? They called you the Bard, right?
I was trying to get that going for myself. But
it was you who started that?
Really called me that. Yeah,
I heard that someone was calling you, but it might have been you that actually told me that.
Yes, I definitely was telling you. Yeah, people used to call me the Bard.
Yeah, people. I mean, some people, call me the Bard. So that's pretty good. What was top lesson learned? If you could summarize your university education, just give us the Cole's notes.
Top lesson learned was, I don't know. I feel like what I really got out of my university degree was like writing for deadlines.
Right.
And also just, I guess kind of I don't know if this is really a lesson, but what I miss about university is just being exposed to new things. I felt like that was a really enriching time. And I kind of didn't really like writing papers or like actually analyzing stuff. I always preferred the more creative side, but I did like rolling up to a class and, hearing people talk around me about something. I don't know. I always enjoyed like lectures in that way and like discussion groups and stuff.
Yeah, like discussing the arts, right? And how to analyze, how one would analyze the arts, and the various discussions one might posit and theories about such art and how it might be affecting your emotions.
Yes, yes, you're so on the right page. But yeah, I mean, then I definitely gravitated towards the creative side, and by the end of my English lit degree, I was like, my peers were continuing on. Some of them were continuing on into academia, and I was like, this is the end for me. I cannot do this any longer. I can actually barely do this currently, so
So
I'm gonna go. But
you dramatically ripped your powdered wig off in front of the entire class,
yes,
throw it onto
but
the ground.
yeah. But honestly, I feel like I most of my memories from university, that's when I started doing improv and comedy in general, but improv specifically, I
Yes.
started when I first arrived at UBC. So a lot of my memories are about that.
Yeah, so let's get into that. So what was your first improv? How did you get into it? So did you I have a note here. You were in an improv duo show Soda Fountain. I guess that come later.
Yeah, that came a bit later, but I mean, not too much later. I yeah, so I started with UBC Improv. I auditioned in my first year. Basically, UBC actually has this really great improv program where I feel like a lot of colleges have like one team that maintains a team name,
Yeah.
and they maybe add like a couple new members every year. But this was different because it was like they would just do new teams every year, and it was like a huge pool of people that audition. They would do like four teams of 12,
Whoa.
and then yeah, or maybe three or four teams
Yeah,
depending
yeah.
on how many people.
Still, that's
There
a
would be like
lot. And those are big teams.
big teams, and like yeah, it was like kind of this whole program where you would practice like twice a week. You would do shows every second week, and the shows you'd get like 200 or 300 people there.
Wow.
Um, and there was like like real coaches that would come in, so it was a really awesome place to start because it
That's
was like
exactly what you need to start is like to do it consistently, be on stage consistently. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, and it was like you're performing for for people at your school, and they're a really nice audience to perform for. You have this built-in
For
audience,
sure.
and then you're taking it seriously, maybe too seriously, um, honestly. But it was a cool place to start doing improv. Yeah, so I started improv there, and then I started taking classes around Vancouver at this school called Blind Tiger, who
Okay.
kind of was had a similar program to or similar style of improv to UCB,
Okay.
and kind of did their classes were kind of not exactly that, but similar, like with the game and stuff.
Yeah, teach you the
And
games, show you the
the game,
find the blow of the scene. I don't know what other
exactly.
things are. You got a yes and. If you don't know that, you know.
And I just learned that right now. I had no idea about that.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that was a good one that everyone should know. You always have to say you agree with what they say and then you add something.
I This is all news to me.
Do you have
And
do you have a pen? You can just listen back,
give me
actually.
20
Just
minutes.
listen
Give me
back.
20 minutes to 30 minutes. I'll go to a Staples. I'll get a pen.
What
And
happened to your
I'll write this down.
quill?
I gave that back when
You
I graduated.
threw it out with the powdered wig.
Yeah,
So
it's all in a dumpster somewhere.
so from the UBC group, that's where you splintered off and you met some improv team pals.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, I started. So then I kind of, long story short, as just started doing shows around town, and I started doing more sketch stuff, and then eventually started doing stand up, and I met Soda Fountain, which you mentioned is a duo I'm in with my friend Graham A. Church, and we met through Blind Tiger, that comedy school. So we started doing a monthly show. We were like a sketch group, improv group. Kind of just did whatever we wanted monthly.
That's the best.
Um,
That's the best. Not being like locked into some sort of tight format that you have to hit all the time, and being flexible to just perform comedy in different ways. I think that's great because you don't hear that too often. You hear of performers going from improv to stand up or back and forth or whatever, but not normally like doing it all random or like not random, just being able to like switch back and forth.
Yeah, for sure. And then we kind of did. Yeah, I like doing it all. And we
Yeah.
would do stuff where it was like kind of like mix between improv and sketch, and yeah, it was all very fun. I say past tense just because we're coming back post COVID, but
Coming back, baby.
coming back.
You
But
heard
yeah,
it here. Get tickets.
Get tickets now.
Get
So
tickets
yeah, I don't
now.
know. That's basically the story. I don't know.
So that's the story. So then you made it, and you have this comedy show, Soda Fountain, which looks like a great show from what I've Googled of it. The Instagram, it has lots of great pictures of what look like very funny shows.
Hey, thank you.
Can't really
That's
tell
good
from
to
the
hear.
picture, but like the faces are fun. The faces are funny in the pictures.
Yeah, that's good to hear a kind of outside perspective that it just looks funny.
It looks
via
funny
photo.
based
That's
on
great.
the Instagram. Yeah, I know what good shows Instagrams look like. I've been to good shows, and then I've seen the Instagram, and that is very similar to what stuff that I've seen. So if you're listening and it's the far future, check it out if you're out there on the West Coast.
Yes.
All right, so now we know where you were from, and I guess we didn't find out who are your guys. That's like a joke.
Yeah. Mark Maron style.
Yeah.
I would say Mark Maron was my guy, who I performed with a lot.
Pow! Who's this kid? You seen this Nathan kid? So you've done shows with Maron. That's cool. He's always blipping around
Totally.
there on the West Coast.
Done so many shows with him.
So many shows. When's your WTF coming out?
I was actually on the Obama episode. My mic was just muted. It sucked. I was like coming in with some solid gold riffs, and
Can't
I found out
imagine.
later that
Can't imagine
None of them
you telling all your family and friends, download this episode. You're gonna want to hear this episode.
yeah,
Gonna want to see what your boy's done.
this episode's going to be huge for podcasting in general, and
Well,
yeah, it was disappointing for sure.
that is disappointing, but maybe you can get in on the Obama Springsteen show. The Obama Springsteen show.
I've been DMing Lando, so hopefully.
Things are happening behind the scenes. So if you're a fan of Nathan, you got to check out Obama's podcast and Springsteen.
That's like totally my like sensibility. You don't even have to check out my work. You can just listen to that, and it's like it's basically like you're listening to my stuff.
Same vibe.
Yeah.
Same vibes. All right, so so that basically sums it up. Everyone should have a great idea in their mind's eye of Nathan. And so what else is there? What's the comedy scene? How's the comedy scene doing now? I guess it's been subdued due to the global pandemic, but like you said, we're coming out of it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's
Shows.
doing okay. There's some shows popping up again. We kind of like don't have very many venues that
Right.
are specifically for comedy because we used to have 2 comedy clubs, and those have both shut down.
They both
And
shut
then-
down?
Yeah, one of them shut down during COVID. One of them shut down just before. One of them was Yuck Yucks. I think Yuck Yucks is like back open, like in the suburbs or something. But yeah, the
Oh.
kind of main
Yeah.
central one shut down.
But not like a good not like a low
Yeah.
not like a good comedy club. That's okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So you
and
have
then the
spaces
other one that was
you've
like
taken
the
over.
main comedy club that was Little Mountain Gallery, which shut down just a couple months ago.
Oh, I hadn't heard that. I am definitely sorry to hear that because that is the place that I was thinking of. Like that's like the main poppin' spot when I think of cool shows over there.
Yeah, that place was awesome. It was like a pretty unique structure. Like it was, uh, actually, I don't technically know if it was I think it was a registered nonprofit, but basically it was like a space that anyone could put on, not anyone, but like you could
Yeah.
do whatever show you wanted to do there, and it was an opportunity for, like, it was very cheap, so you could make money off of those shows, so you could pay performers, and yeah, the structure of how it was run was really cool.
That's great. That's exactly what you need to foster a good scene
Yeah.
in your
So
city.
have you ever been out to Vancouver?
I was there for the 2010 event, and I was working though, so I didn't get too much time to like go around and see stuff. I got a few days to like wander around the city, so I've been around downtown, and I was staying in Surrey, so I know Surrey
Okay.
better than
Yeah.
the rest of the places. But it was basically like going from Surrey to the arena. I was at the hockey house, and then back. Yeah, I was working at the hockey house. Like,
Cool.
Is that Wayne Gretzky over there? Yeah, whatever. Is that is that every player who's won a gold medal, Olympic gold, Stanley Cup, and the World Hockey Championship all in one stage? Oh yeah, that's cool. Like, just weird stuff happening at your job. Just weird stuff at your job.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
that was fun.
Are you a pretty big hockey fan?
Not too big.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay.
But, like when you see something like that, you're like, oh, that's like a historical moment. You see like Tretiak on stage or whatever, like, oh, that's the guy from the 72 thing. Pretty neat.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was very fun. So I have been over to Vancouver, but it was mostly, back and forth, working, traveling to the work. But what did I do out there? There was a lot of stuff happening out there. It was pretty popping off during that time, as you can imagine. You were obviously around during there, but did you come in and check anything out? Did you go to Whistler, see an event?
I didn't do anything. I was still living in Kelowna at that point. I was in high school.
Yeah. Yep. So that was it. So I what did I do? I saw Stephen Colbert did a series of shows like from
Nice.
outside of the sort of like on my way. I was walking to work. I walked past the gigantic stage Stephen Colbert had set up, and so I watched a few Stephen Colbert shows. I was a huge Colbert fan at the time.
Wow,
was
that's
the
awesome.
Colbert Report, and he sang. It was him and Michael Bublé, and they sang the. It was like the lyrics to "O Canada" to the tune of "Star Spangled Banner." So it was pretty wild. But yeah, it was fun. So I had a good experience in Vancouver, but I didn't like tourist too much stuff, right? But I did enjoy it.
Well, you have to come back.
I definitely want to come back. Now that there's no more Olympics for me to work at, I can finally see the sights.
You've been waiting for these Olympics to end. They've been 10 years long.
These 2010 Olympics feel like they're never going to end for me. So let's talk about your content. Very funny tweets as how I've discovered you through Twitter at Nathan Hare Nice. Go check that out. Hilarious tweets. But
Thank you.
doing my research, I found out that you have a short film
I do.
that you've produced, you've created and starred in, written and produced and starring. Is that the correct?
Those are the 3 credits.
The credits,
Yes.
yeah. Really funny. I watched it today. Just so funny. When I saw I was like, oh, he has a short film. I'll watch it. Like I've seen student films before. I'll watch it. But this was actually like I don't know, really good. Really, really good. Not saying that
Thank you.
I didn't think it was gonna be good, but I didn't think it was gonna blow me away to the level that it did. So everyone, please check the show notes. There's a link to the short film. Life is Seriously Weird. That's what it's called.
Wild.
Life is I better fucking fix that.
All good.
Life is Seriously Wild. Which is so funny. It was just so funny.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that.
Just tell us about it. How did that all work out?
Well,
when did you start working on it, etc.?
I started writing that. I feel like I wrote that in a few years ago, maybe like 2018. And I was thinking like, oh, maybe I should write a web series. That's kind of like, web series are over. I was like, maybe I'll write like a short comedy film. And yeah, so I wrote that, and then it was just actually in COVID where we were like in one of the dips of COVID, whenever it was, when things were kind of back open. We are like, I was chatting with Graham, who I mentioned before. We were like, we should shoot something, some sort of project, something that's like small and we can do during COVID that's safe. So I was like, oh, I do have this script that I always wanted to make. And I looked at it and it was like, there was like so many things. There was like a full on like party scene in it. And I was like, oh, we can't do that. But so I rewrote it in 2020 to make it COVID friendly.
Okay.
And then we shot it. And then we put it out. And I'm really proud of it. It's very like, it's a parody of romantic comedies, essentially. I was really in my head kind of parodying that like Master of None person living in the big city trying to figure it all out. Like dating is so weird.
I couldn't put my finger on if there was one pivot point that was trying to parody like an overall arching thing, but I could pick out certain elements that were like, you know, great satire, or like this is like an old like a comedy old comedy move. But yeah, that's a great that pulls it all together for me.
Yeah, I was really trying to go for that vibe, and yeah, very influent. It's like it's fun to write something that has a relatively. I like the way it looks. Like I wouldn't say it has like a high. It has a high production value for this sort of content, I guess, that doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I like doing stuff that's like feels like a film, but it's like the logic of it is completely broken.
Yes, exactly. It was like it looks like a short film, and the tone of certain points, you're like, oh, it's like going for that kind of tone, and then something will happen. It'll take a crazy left turn that you didn't expect, and it's like, oh yes, that's what makes it so funny. That's the comedy of it.
Yeah, I like doing stuff that's just purely for comedy.
Comedy for comedy's sake?
Comedy for comedy's sake.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully so then I've written another thing that we are trying to film very, very soon, and we're just trying to work out locations for it and stuff. But
oh, that's exciting.
Getting the people we made that with.
Yeah, it was good. It was a small little cast, but everyone nailed it. The two friends were great. The girl, the love interest, is great.
Yeah, those are like Maddie Kelly, Nima Galamipour, Danica Tebow, all comedians.
Danica, that name sounds familiar. From your podcast.
I was like, I'm like, is he leading into something, or is he just saying that it sounds familiar?
Just a tease. I didn't want to let that go by. So you made the short film. It's great. Some of my funny favorite parts, like head in the garbage can callback.
Yeah.
Showed up with a milk and bread. The podcast. The fact that it was like, yeah, you're the top podcast. And then it's like almost a throwaway line about droning on, and that's probably why it's top of the charts. You're like, oh yeah, I've just been droning on. It's probably why I'm top of the charts. Like, as a podcast guy who is doing a podcast, I thought that was funny. Just like,
oh, thank you, I appreciate that.
And then there was like classic Nathan style jokes where you're like, yeah, I haven't even made the MLB this year. It's like, those remind me of your TikToks.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Sort of that kind of just like, ugh, something just so weird, and you would never say that, but that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And then the when you like got to your apartment, you just like let the bike go.
Yeah.
That was like Pee Wee Herman or whatever.
We actually had there's a deleted scene that we spent a large amount of time shooting with this bike. I'm glad you noticed the bike thing, because that's one of my favorite parts. But we couldn't quite get this other, which is it's very Pee Wee Herman, where it initially I like pick up the bike from a spot, and then I toss it away at the end. And then we had the bike traveling like through the city to get back to this spot and then landing perfectly as if it was like locking itself in the original spot.
I got
Um,
you.
if you
That
can
sounds like
picture
it would
that,
be a
but
lot of work for that payoff of the one joke.
yeah, and it ended up not really working. Like it was kind of like this just feels like it's going. It just didn't quite click or something.
Yeah.
But we tried it.
But the idea was great, and turns out all you needed was just the first shoving the bike over.
Yeah, which is almost funnier. I almost kind of like it that it's like he's just done with the bike.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was just like, that's so good.
Yeah.
Well, great stuff. Can't wait for the next film in the series.
The next film, the spiritual sequel.
Spiritual sequel, the follow-up, the sophomore effort.
Slump.
No, don't say,
No, I
don't
should've
say
said
that. Oh. Sophomore streak.
Sophomore streak. There you go.
Yeah, that was great. What is my next note? It was check out your podcast. Forgive us. Tell us about your podcast. What's it about?
It is about me and Danica Tebow, who I just mentioned. We host a podcast where we talk about what we're worried about that week.
Oh, an
It's the basic
anxiety-based podcast.
Anxiety-based podcast, but I will say it's a premise that we only sometimes get to.
That is my favorite type of podcast. You don't stick to the premise too tight.
Yeah, we wanted something where it's like, okay, we can't purely, even though I would love to just have a podcast where I'm talking with Danica, which is basically what it is. But we were like, for marketing's sake, I feel like we have to say, people are going to ask us like you just did, what's the premise of this podcast?
Yes.
So we did something where we were like, okay, we're never going to get sick of this, and this will just facilitate conversation. And
yeah, you could do a 5-minute chunk of it up top, boom, check mark, and then just chit chat the rest of the show.
Now let's get into the good stuff.
Let's get into the juicy gossip. Is that what you get into? Juicy gossip.
Oh yeah, totally. We shit talk people, and we're very, very mean.
Oh, did I get that? That was my favorite podcast to listen to. Just talking shit about people. We're like, I'll tell you off mic who I'm talking about, and then you're like, no.
Come on, give us the name.
I want to know who you're talking shit about. I don't really need to know.
Exactly.
But it is fun. It's fun to do a podcast. So everyone go check that out. I have linked it in the notes. So that's fun to do, doing a podcast, right? Going pretty good.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like, it's fun just to be like, oh, cool. Now this is, as everyone says about their podcast, like, it's an excuse to hang out. People can't.
It is.
I love those jokes. That's such a Twitter joke that's like, why can't millennials, they can't just hang out. It needs to be recorded. It needs to be a podcast.
Oh my god, these millennials. Does everything have to be a TikTok?
Exactly. So,
actually, I am filming a TikTok right now of this whole podcast. It'll be about, so far, it'll be 4 10-minute long TikToks. So
please, I can see those going to the top of the charts.
The TikTok charts.
Yes.
I always check the TikTok charts first thing in the morning. I just scroll right up to number 1 and scroll all the way down to number 100.
See if you're there.
And then, yes, I always check and see if I'm number 1 on the TikTok charts. Never am because I don't post anything. But
I'm there. I'm dealing with the Billboard charts. I'm always like, did I put out a number 1 single this week? Not again.
No,
Yeah.
not this week. Ah.
La da dee, la da da.
That's the song.
Yeah.
La-da-dee-dee-dee-do.
La da dee, la da da.
Oh, that just blipped up one. It
Nice.
just blipped up one on the charts. So I am on TikTok. Rather new. How long have you been on the TikTok?
Jeez, how long have I been on there? I mean, I feel like somewhere in the COVID
Yes.
lockdown, I got it, and then, but I feel like I wasn't actually posting on there until pretty recently.
Right. Yeah, I think that's generally that's sort of the trajectory that I've seen probably with people who I've seen use it. It was like you pick it up maybe like hesitantly, like maybe you didn't want to pick it up, but you did anyway. You check it out. You maybe got hooked scrolling a few videos, and then after you've find what kind of videos you like or whatever. You find your little trend that you want to jump on. You jump on that trend. You jump on that trend.
Yeah, and I don't know. What's your opinion of TikTok?
I was very against it. I mean, I liked Vine, and then they took it away from us. I was like, something's gonna for sure come back and replace this. Blah 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 blah. There comes TikTok, and then TikTok comes, and I'm like, no, this isn't what I wanted to replace Vine for whatever reason. And then probably like I don't know, a year after it had been out and it had been popular, I was like, oh yeah, I guess it is good. And then I got sucked into it. Got addicted to scrolling on the TikTok, had to implement a time restriction on myself. So when that 45-minute note comes up, I have to close it. And then I can open it later, but I have to close it when that thing comes up. So it's a good little stop loss, stop time loss for me. But it is, the algorithm had its hooks in me.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of those things that it's totally tailored to you. So I think when you first jump on TikTok, you're like, what is going on? This is like very random, and then you start finding the goods.
Yeah, it takes a minute to start feeding you what you want, but then it knows by how long you watched it, or where your eyes went, or what you ate for lunch, or it knows what you were dreaming about, and then it'll just feed that into your timeline.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like there's a lot of good people on TikTok, and I actually really like it from a comedy perspective.
That's interesting. Who are some of your favorite comedy people? Because normally I would have like on my feeds, I have like all comedy, usually like really funny people, but on my TikTok, it's like the algorithm has pointed me into a different direction. I get some comedy, but I get a lot of like wellness, like yoga, stretching, stuff like that. Like, I guess that's what I'm more into.
I know. Wow, that's kind of cool.
It's weird because it's like I didn't know that about myself until TikTok was like, listen, this is what you like. Like, oh, maybe I have ADHD.
You're discovering new mental illnesses.
Yeah. Discovering new things I like, discovering new potential self-diagnoses.
That's the way to go about it.
Well, we'll see.
I was gonna say, well, I feel like the people that I really like on TikTok aren't. This is one thing I will say about TikTok is it feels like the people that are the funniest aren't being like, hey, here's a comedy sketch I made.
Yes.
And they're more just making videos. Like there's this guy, his name's Martin. I'm trying to find out what his actual username is. Anyways, but he's really funny, but he just kind of does like these characters, but they're not really like you wouldn't, it's kind of, I mean, you know that he's doing a character, but it's not, you could, if you just at first glance, you'd be like, is this a guy just like, is this him?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's not like being like, hey, check out my new vid.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that is true. That's a lot of people who do characters of like someone annoying or whatever, like those people who can dip into a character are more prone to have success on TikTok because they can replicate that character in different situations and scenarios. It was almost like if you see Mr. Bean doing the one dance, you see Mr. Bean doing this trend here, and it's funny both times because it's Mr. Bean doing it. So if you have like a funny weirdo character, then you get the weirdo character in different scenarios.
Yeah.
That's just a license to print TikTok GIFs.
Oh, exactly. And you're gonna get so fucking rich.
You're gonna get so many roses. You're gonna get so many frickin' I don't know, what are the things that you can get? You get like a little gift? Have you seen that stuff?
I feel like vaguely I know that, but I haven't gone too deep on the TikTok gifts.
The thing, it keeps coming up, so I have to exit off, and every time it's like you get $50 of free gifts you can give to people. So I guess if you're watching someone's live or if you like their video, you can like send them that free money that they've given you that's only to give away. So you can support creators with those gifts. It's an interesting.
Okay.
It was an interesting thing, an interesting way of doing it. Like if there was like Twitter bucks, and you have a good tweet, and I can if I like it, you get 1 Twitter buck.
Yeah.
Just Twitter
They
gave
kind
you.
of have. Don't they have that thing with like Twitter Blue or whatever it's called?
They have monetized themselves, but I'm not sure what actually you get from when you pay for that. I haven't looked into it too much, but I don't think it's like
For creators.
Yeah, I don't think it's for really, or yeah, it is for creators, but it's not really like how to monetize. I mean, it's like gives you extra benefits.
Features.
Yeah, features. Yeah.
It seems like Twitter's kind of like flailing right now, hey?
Yeah, Twitter's been in the MySpace zone for like the last, I don't know, 2 years almost? 2 years, 3 years? Yeah, it's been a slow descent. So whenever the next thing, I mean, it could even be TikTok, but whenever the next thing pops off, it's just going to suck everyone away from Twitter one day. And that's sad, because that was my main spot where I planted my flag. But now I'm going to have to pivot. I have to pivot hard, Nathan.
Well, yeah, that's what's but I don't know. I still really like Twitter because it's like you can post videos on there, or you can just post text.
It's
I don't
simple,
know.
yeah.
We need a platform like that.
Well, there's going to be a thing that's just going to be everything in one, right? Like you can post a TikTok, you can post a tweet, you can post a picture, an Instagram post, and it all shows up on one super feed.
We need to go back to Facebook.
We need to go back to Facebook. Are you on Facebook? I was on Facebook when it was only universities. That's the only time Facebook was ever good. When you needed an invite, you needed a university registered email address.
Wow, what university did you go to?
U of G, University of Guelph in Guelph, Ontario. Go
Nice.
Griffins. A lot of farmers getting their education there. Is a heavy agricultural based curriculum.
Really?
Yep. They have a big there's a barn on campus. And there is a college royal event where all the cowboys get dressed up in their fancy hats. It's like a prom for cowboys. It's very, very fun.
Wow, I didn't know that at all. I've never been to Guelph. I haven't really been. I would like to go around Ontario more. I've only been to Toronto.
Yeah, I should have asked you when you asked me about Vancouver. You've been to Toronto, so what was your experience? Did you do any performing, or was it like a long time ago?
No, I did. We actually did Soda Fountain up there. I think this was like November 2019, so pretty close to COVID. It was like the last plane I took before COVID.
Whoa.
And we went out there and went out for like a weekend, and I did some stand-up. We did our show and hung out with I have a lot of friends from Vancouver that have moved out there. Hung out with them. It was pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
I like Toronto a lot.
Any names you want to notably shout out and name drop for our listeners?
Names of my friends?
Yeah, if they're notable comedians, but if they're not like performers or whatever, that's fine.
Oh no, I more just meant like friends from university. But,
okay.
I actually, oddly enough, I find that there's not a lot of people that, comedians that move from Vancouver to Toronto for whatever reason.
Well, I guess that's a good. That shows that the Vancouver scene is good enough. Good.
That's true.
Pretty good. Like the Toronto scene is good. It's good. I don't know how COVID has really. I know it obviously has impacted it quite dramatically, but going into it, it was a pretty strong scene. But
nice. Yeah, I really liked the shows that I did in it.
Did you perform
There's
at
just a lot more shows?
Comedy Bar? Any shows at Comedy Bar?
I did. That's where we did Soda Fountain.
Woo, that's a good one. Good spot to have your show.
It was really fun.
Yeah. How did the show go? Who did you have? Any Toronto comedians headlining it? Or
we had Amar Singh
Yeah.
did stand up. I'm gonna
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm asking you for like a lineup for a show from 3 years ago.
3 years. I
what
remember
else?
it, and then we had some other people too.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm actually totally blanking.
That's
Sorry.
all right. Yeah, it's
He
very.
obviously crushed. He stood in my mind because I know we hung out and we went and got Greek food from this it was a really random choice for restaurant. We went and got Greek food. It was almost like a Greek chain restaurant, I want to say. If it wasn't a chain, it kind of had that vibe like it was like a family restaurant.
Right.
I forget what it was called, but we had this formal dinner almost.
Okay.
Where we talked about where we got our first kisses.
Okay. Wow. It's like a very formal dinner event.
Yeah,
with a formal conversation.
Stood out in my mind. Yeah.
That's interesting. That's fun. Well, I'm glad that you had a nice time in Toronto. I hope you make it back someday. I would love to see you perform at Comedy Bar.
Definitely have to come back.
You gotta come back. You gotta come back, Nathan. Well, I guess I've reached the end of all my bullet points. So we should. There's a lot of bad stuff going on in the world, but it's great to talk to someone nice like you, Nathan.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Very fun. We should do this again sometime.
We should. And hopefully I'll see you soon in person.
Should do this again sometime. It would be great to see you in person. Great to meet up. And yeah, high five.
High five. There you go.
It's kind of my thing. All right, Nathan. Well, I guess that will just about wrap it up for us on the podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your 1 hour-less day. Now you have 2 less hours today because the podcast took 1 and the daylight savings took the t'other. And
I know, I'm actually really pissed about that. That I even did this to begin with. But
well, you just think if I had scheduled it at midnight, it would have been done immediately. Wait, right?
Yeah, at 2 a.m.
Yeah. All right, so now what I do is at the end of the podcast, I play the podcast theme, and we say our goodbyes. So, Nathan, thanks so much for being on the podcast, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Nathan, and I'll see you online, and take care. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode with Nathan. Follow him on Twitter at NathanHareNice, and you gotta watch the short film, Life is Seriously Wild. You will enjoy it if you're a silly sort. If you're a new listener, dare you to listen to one more. If you're a regular listener, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You can check out all the old Friends of the Show episodes at www.stephenwskinner.com or find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or at your local Canadian Tire in the podcast section. If you like podcast tweets, check out at FOTS Pod on Twitter. Weird when you do. I'm on Twitter at SkinnerSteven. Special thanks to Ruby Coast for the music. Special thanks to Kyle I. Davidson for the theme. And thank you for listening. I am Stephen W. Skinner. Have a great one.